Engine 5, Engine 1, Engine 101, Squad 1, Rescue 1, District 1, District 2, Tower 7 for rapid intervention, house fire, Engine 5, Engine 1, Engine 101, Squad 1.
If you could, just please introduce yourself and tell us about your current role.
Okay. So my name is Walter Lewis. I'm a district chief with the Orlando Fire Department, and I've enjoyed almost every single day being there. There were a couple of challenging times through the course of my career, but it's nothing that the fire department created. It's just the challenges that come along in the business. I had two older brothers. They were volunteers. They ultimately became volunteer firefighters along with my father in the town that I was growing up in, Metro New Jersey. Little town of Maywood. The volunteerism spirit was pretty strong. Spent a lot of time visiting the firehouses, and as a youngster, I was enthralled with either being a garbage man or a fireman because they both rode on cool looking trucks. And as time went on, the firefighter thing was a little more appealing.
If you could just introduce yourself for us.
My name is Stephen Negley. I'm a firefighter with the City of Orlando. I'm currently a lieutenant assigned to Engine 16 on B shift in the Lake Nona District. We just passed 17 years with the City of Orlando. My dad was a volunteer. Growing up, he had a lawn business, and we helped with the lawn business, and anytime a fire call would go out, he would go to the fire station, and we didn't get to go on the calls, but we would hang around the fire station waiting for him to get back, and hanging out at the fire station growing up spurred the inspiration.
What advice do you have for somebody that's looking into the fire service as a career?
Learn the realistic expectations of what the fire service is. It is an all-encompassing hazard mitigation service. So to go into it with the romantic vision of every day you're going to go to fires and kick down doors and save babies and have a cape and mask and a light shine in the sky with your initials, you're going to be disappointed. Mm-hmm. But it can be very fulfilling. It's pretty neat to be able to show up and be given a mental and physical challenge and succeed. Mm-hmm. and come to an answer, and usually the right answer with limited information in a short amount of time.
What advice would you have for somebody aspiring to be a firefighter?
Start young. It's a calling. It's not for everybody. So start young, because if you realize it's not what you want to do, you have time to change. And it's a young man's game. It's definitely for the young guys. As people get older, it's a lot harder to do, and that's why death after a career is very young.
To date, what has been your favorite role in the fire service?
Favorite role was company officer, okay. And it depends on the crew. Everything depends on the crew. When you have a crew of high-level performers or people that are just motivated, and they could be the least trained, but I can train people. You can train people. Any of us can train people. It's the attitude. When you have good attitude people that are high-level performers that are mission-driven, they'll want to do a good job. And it's that ability to capitalize on that to drive them to where whatever the challenges are, you'll walk out successful. And to that, I think is a very helpful measure to succeed through the bad calls, knowing that you were prepared as best as possible, you did all that you could, and that it just was the circumstances that dictated how the outcome came about, not your failures. Mm-hmm. So with that, as a company officer, I dedicated training, and I was inspired by a former company officer who was on his way out of the fire department when I was coming in, and he was lieutenant longest. Mm-hmm. And it was always known that if you were Lou longest trained, you knew the business. And that was my motivation. I wanted somebody to say the same thing. If you were Lou Lewis trained, you knew what you were doing. Mm-hmm. And now as I work as a chief officer, my inference on firefighters is a lot less. So I have to work with company officers, and I'm blessed. I have some great company officers to work with these days. I've had many over the time that I've been a chief so far. But in having them, that they will enable me to work with them and the other crews at the same time or individually, it kind of exercises a demon within me of, wanting to get that training bug out of me. But it also allows me to work with the crews in a compatibility sense, so that it's not just such a focused, it's an overlap. Mm-hmm. And allows me to truly understand how well they're going to perform, where we can fix any deficiencies. But so I'd almost make it a teetering balance, but it's like a 51-49 balance there as towards company officer.
Throughout your career, what has been your favorite role in the fire service?
That's a tough question. There's really two roles. I like being lieutenant because you can, like I say, control the day. You have a lot of say in how things get done, and how you get to train and work with your crew. Engineer was also a very good role, a rewarding role. To me, I love the engineer role. I teach the driver operator program, so I think there's a lot of responsibility there. Getting the crew to the scene safe, operating the trucks, that was a fun role. But if I had to pick one, I think lieutenant would probably be my favorite role.
Have you ever had a call or an incident that made you question staying in the fire service?
Yeah, it's not really a call, but so my brother committed suicide. He was a district chief with the city of Orlando, and back in 2016, he committed suicide for whatever reason. We'll never know. But we grew up in the fire service together. Like I said, my dad was a volunteer, and we grew up together, started about the same time. And after that, I took a lot of time off, and I loved the fire service, best job in the world, and I never thought for once that I wouldn't be doing it. And there was a little bit of time after his passing that I almost didn't want to come back. It took me a few months to realize, I got to get back into it. And that first shift back was definitely one of the hardest shifts I've had.
How do you balance all your responsibilities as a firefighter with your family life?
It's funny, I was talking to this class about don't take it home. The fire department stays at the fire department, family life stays at the family. Try not to talk about fire stuff when I'm with the family. When with the family, it's family time. I teach a lot, and I'm in the fire service a lot, but I work hard so I can play hard. So when I'm away from here, I'm disconnected. I don't. I actually worked for the city I live in before I worked for the city of Orlando, and it was hard to disconnect because you're right there. Working over here now, I'm disconnected. I can leave this. There could be a multiple alarm fire tomorrow, and I'm at home and I won't even know about it, which is disconnect when you're away from the fire department. And family comes first, and I'm at the family, I'm with them.